Hi, everybody. Welcome to this video about Juno Retrograde in Pisces of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas in New York.
And we are going to tell you what this Juno retrograde will feel like, how long it will last, important dates that happen during it, and how to handle it for best results. So on my screen now you can see I've got a diagram of the cycle of Juno here on the left, and I'm going to show you this in motion in the animated chart on the right. So Juno retrograde has various phases to its cycle, just like any retrograde, any planet that can go retrograde. And it begins and finishes with what I like to call commitment rapture day. And the reason for this is that Juno is all about committed relationships. She's about our social networks and how we form them, the relationships that we form with other people that are committed, whether that means a marriage or in a business situation, and how we arrange our social networks around us to support us. So the cycle begins when Juno conjuncts the sun. As you can see on this diagram, this line traces Juno's path along the zodiac. It comes into a conjunction with the sun here on January 11th, and that's what's showing here on screen in the right. The next thing that happens in Juno's cycle is that it comes into the day that it turns retrograde, July 24. So I'm just going to run this by weeks, so that we come to July 24, about there. It's set for July 26 because I'm running this by weeks. But here you see Juno has turned retrograde. The little RX, little red RX is there. That means Juno is now retrograde, and now you'll see it move backwards. The next phase in the cycle is where Juno retrograde opposes the sun. It'll do that at 15 degrees of Pisces. And we call this commitment clarity day. And we'll explain, how to handle these days when we get into the interpretations in a minute. But I just want to show you the technical stuff here first. Now I need to move this by a day. And here's the sun coming into opposition with Juno right there. And it's September 7th. So the next phase is where Juno continues to move retrograde. And you'll see her going retrograde right here until October 22nd when she turns direct. So let's watch that happen. She continues retrograde. She's gonna turn direct right there in 7 degrees of Pisces, and we've passed October 22nd, and so there she is direct. The little red RX is now gone. And then we get to another interesting day that I have defined in this whole cycle and invented a name for, which is when Juno returns to the place where she started her retrograde period. That was on July 24th. It was in 21 of Pisces. And when she returns to 21 of Pisces, she will have finished out her entire retrograde span. Right about there, December 24 at 21 of Pisces, she's gone forward, backward, forward, is exiting her span for the year. And at this point, we can expect some resolution about all of the shifting and changing that happened during Juno retrograde. And then the final phase, the ending and new beginning of the next cycle happens on June 20th. And again, I'm going to run this by weeks. And you'll see that happen as the sun catches up with Juno. They form a conjunction on June 20th. Right here. The sun catches up with Juno, hops over Juno, and keeps moving. And there they form a conjunction actually at 28 degrees of Gemini, and we call that commitment rapture day, the beginning and end of a cycle. So having oriented you to how this works mechanically, I want to break down, and with lots of help from Julia, what does it feel like when Juno goes retrograde in Pisces particularly, and what should you do about it? So Julia, when you think about Juno retrograde in Pisces, what comes to mind for you? And while you're describing that, I'm going to shift this chart back to July 7, 2022, where that actually begins.
Hmm. Well, Juno is an asteroid, and there are a lot of similarities that she has with Venus because both planets are very concerned with relationships, but they are in different ways. Jamie taught me that Venus shows you how you fall in love. It's kind of like she describes more your romantic needs, whereas Juno shows you how you marry or commit. So it has a lot more to do with your long-term, sort of the needs that you have long-term to really sort of sustain you in a relationship. So commitment is a very good word for Juno. And anytime any planet or asteroid goes retrograde, it's generally a time of review concerning what that planet or asteroid is associated with. So with Juno, I think there's going to be a big spotlight on people's relationships and especially long-term commitment needs. So this could be a time if you're in a committed partnership where you're sort of reviewing, okay, these are where my needs are met. These are where my needs aren't met. Are there ways I can get those needs that aren't met? Maybe met better. That was a weird way of saying, but but it could be a time of review. Or for single people, they could be, thinking about their next relationship in terms of what didn't work out before and what have I learned from that that I need to bring into my next relationship. Would you say, Jamie? And I'll say something about Pisces before I ask you a question. Pisces is a sign of creativity. It's a sign of altruism. It's a sign of spirituality. So when Juno goes retrograde in Pisces, it's not just thinking about commitment, but perhaps in terms of whether you're getting spiritual needs met by a partner, the more ethereal dimensions of life, or whether, let's say, you're not a spiritual person, but a very creative person. A lot of couples love to share aesthetics and creativity together, or even feeling like you can connect with a partner and you guys are both serving the same type of cause together, that you can have some shared charity or altruism together. And that might be an area of life that people are focusing on during this cycle. Now, Jamie, would you think that Juno retrograde, like for people who are just dating and who are kind of, playing the field a little bit and sizing up partners, do you think it's a good time for commitment? Or do you think is it something that it's sort of like a good time to just still tread carefully and review your needs? And what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I do think that we call this relationship retrospection period for a reason, that it's a really good time to process things about relationships of the past and to ask yourself how satisfying they were, what you would do again and what you wouldn't do again. And I would tread carefully about moving forward, especially I wouldn't move forward too quickly. And the nature of Pisces is a little bit murky. It can introduce a quality of like waiting or a holding pattern. And I would think that this time period, which is going to be 3 to 4 months long, is really best for looking to the past, for reevaluating, for thinking deeply and feeling into, and if a person is playing the field, feeling into like, what did my relationships of the past give to me, and what did they take from me, and how much meaning did they have? And how can I find that in this relationship? And therefore, is this, person that I'm dating while I'm playing the field, is this person a real prospect for me to get me into the kind of committed relationship that will bring meaning, that will satisfy, and maybe to just kind of dip your toes in the water, but not just jump in, head first while Juno is retrograde.
Right. More like a soul searching and an explorative time, maybe having conversations with the person and feeling things out. That's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely much more retrospective. And if you are in a committed relationship, it's time to apply a Piscean litmus test to that relationship, asking yourself, what does this relationship mean to me? Does this relationship feel like a union of souls? Do I feel a sense of spiritual alignment with this partner? And you can ask yourself that in business relationships too. You can ask yourself, in this business partnership that I have, or if you run a consultancy, if your business is a consultancy or an agency, both of which are very Juno types of businesses. Any business where you partner with somebody for their benefit, maybe by being their agent or advocate or consultant, or any business where you manage teams of people, like small groups of people. All of these are Juno types of businesses, particularly. And in any of these kinds of businesses, you can usefully ask yourself, in this business, am I being satisfied on a soul level? Do I feel like this business aligns with my spiritual value system? And if it doesn't, is there a way that I can make a change that will allow it to? Like maybe you'd like to have a conversation with your business partner about setting up regular donations to a charity that the two of you agree on.
Yeah.
Supporting some cause that you and your partner align on, and that might give deeper meaning to this business as well as giving you a nice tax write-off. And then when it comes to your marriage, you might really ask yourself, does this person feel like a soulmate? And I'm not suggesting that you end a marriage of long term just because you may find that it's lacking in this way, but you might look around for ways that you can feel that greater sense of spiritual alignment with the partner that you have. And that could look so many different ways. I mean, Julia, you could probably think of several different ways that might actually look.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Pisces, I think, is a sign, it's about transcending the self. It's ruled by the 12th house, or there's overlay between those two. And, anything where you feel like you're serving something higher than yourself. And if you can do that with another person, then whether it's merging on a fantasy, creativity. A lot of artists describe how I know Michelangelo said that he felt that God was kind of guiding his hand, and I think the creative process is very mystical. And of course, charity, altruism, and spirituality all fall into that.
Yes, and if those things can line up with your partnership in a better way, then you can come away from this transit feeling like there's more meaning behind your partnership, and that it's rooted in something less, material and transient and more eternal instead. And that can be a really beautiful thing. So you may find that these are the sorts of questions and preoccupations that are, dancing around the corners of your consciousness during the whole period that Juno is retrograde, from July 24th through the September 7th Commitment Clarity Day, which might bring some pretty big insights or even roadblocks. You might discover like, wow, I thought when I married this person that they were eventually going to join my church, and I don't think that's ever actually going to happen. So how am I feeling about that? And all the way through this point to the time when Juno turns direct in 7 degrees of Pisces right here in October. And so this is a time period that's absolutely designed to reevaluate our relationships, and it's the best time to do it. And when we do get to December 24th, and Juno returns to the place where it started, after that retrograde period came to a close in October, and Juno traverses that same space in Pisces again, and then finishes out its retrograde span, you can come to a real sense of resolution and get a real clear decision about what you'd like to do about it, what you'd like to put into place about it. Like whether it really matters, whether your partner, adheres to the same religion as you, or practices it in the same way, or if just the feeling between you is enough, which it might well be.
That's and that day is actually right ahead of Christmas, which
Yeah.
a lot of people in the West celebrate. And I wonder if that could mean that there are a few more proposals and major commitments that happen around Christmas time.
Oh yeah,
Here.
that could absolutely signal that. Yeah, I'm so glad you pointed that out. That's really cool. There might be some Christmas proposals or even Christmas weddings, Christmas
Mhm.
elopements, perhaps, or maybe some Christmas breakups. Ooh,
Uh-huh. Yeah, if it didn't work out and you've done the review and yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
And you figured it out and didn't look great. And it's not good to tie yourself to somebody for the long term if you really feel deep down that it's not going to work out.
Hmm.
All right, so this cycle closes on June 20th next year when the sun conjuncts Juno again, and then we'll get a totality of closure about this cycle and the beginning of a whole new one that will play out during 2023 and 2024. Goodness. The last thing that I want to say is that you should check your July horoscope for your rising sign, particularly if you know what it is, because in that horoscope, we talked about where this Juno retrograde appears in your own house structure. And the house that it lands in should have some special meaning for you. So definitely check that out. Julia, do you have any final thoughts, or do you think we said it all?
I think we did a good job.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video about Juno retrograde in 2022. You can always find good stuff like this on our monthly forecast page on our website, pandoraastrology.com. Your horoscope can be found on the horoscope tab of the navigation bar on our site. And if anything here makes you want to delve into this deeper, maybe get a lifelong love reading or a couples reading to explore this further with the help of one of us, you can find that in the readings tab on our website. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.